Welcome to the Midnight Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, alongside my fellow co-host, Tyler Sinden. We are both entrepreneurs who are learning, growing, and building our own businesses. Our goal is to share our experiences and knowledge to help you grow and become a successful entrepreneur. Strap in. Before we get started, if you have any questions or things you'd like us to cover, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. And if you'd like to join our business Discord where we talk about wins, business problems, or general questions, shoot us a message and we will get you in there. Tyler, what's going on?
That was really not too much, man. How's it going with you?
It's going good. I see you got a shaved face for the people out there, a nice haircut.
Yeah, we got Movember here. I don't know if you shaved or not, but it looks like you're fairly fresh, but not as fresh as this guy.
Yeah, I think I shaved last Friday. So nothing crazy. Tyler probably forgot to roll his camera there.
Yeah.
That's all right. You guys
good
are
now.
Yeah, you're not gonna see Tyler for the first 30 seconds. But yeah, shaved last Friday. Other than that, it was just for a Halloween costume. We're letting her.
What were you?
What's his name? John Travolta from Pulp Fiction.
Okay, cool.
Yep. The name's blanking me right now. The wig I had sucked, but that's okay. It's hard to find exact wigs unless you order like a really expensive one. But $25 wig will do the trick for a small Halloween party, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good price for one night of the year that you'll never use that wig again.
Yep, exactly. So that's how I view it. It got the job done, and then you just tell people what you are, and then you move on to the next day. But Tyler, what do you got for some updates as far as your business side and your life side's going?
Yeah, so last episode I said I was going to have some big news to share on this episode, and today I have that big news. That big news is I finally paid off my student loans.
Hey,
yeah.
There you go.
No longer in debt.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I could have paid it off a while ago, but I just, might as well just slowly chip at it. And I wasn't collecting any interest. The way I had it set up, my uncle basically paid off so the crazy part is my uncle paid off the debt for me because we were just talking one time. And then he said, I have that in cash. Why don't I just give it to you? I basically had it in cash too, but I didn't feel like paying the whole lump sum at once.
Yep.
So he's like, I'll pay for it. And then you can just pay me back so you're not paying interest on it. So I said, sure, why not? So I was doing that and just finished paying him off. But the crazy part was right once I paid off it, when he gave me the money and I paid it off, first thing I got an email from my bank saying, hey, let's get another loan.
Yeah, they're like, hey, why did you pay that off so fast, man?
Right. Yeah, it's like, let's get you back in debt and keep you in the system. Yeah. I was like, damn. That's how this works.
That's how they're
just trying to, right? They're just trying to get me back. Here, take this line of credit, or here, take this loan. You need to go back in debt so we can keep you a cog in the system.
Yep,
so, yeah,
exactly.
Happy to finally be out.
Hey, well, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. You now have a bunch of money freed up to do whatever you'd like to with.
Yeah, now I don't have that over my head where it's like I have to continually make this payment. So it gives me a little more freedom at the end of the day, but we'll see if I do anything with that freedom.
It's going to be easier and easier, Tyler, for you to just quit your job here soon enough.
Oh, man, the way I feel like I've got a lot of updates coming up, and the way it's been going, it seems like I'm getting a lot closer, and just it always comes back to Alex Hormozi talking about it. His hardest decision that he ever had to make in his life was quitting his job. And I feel like I've said that so many times on this podcast, but it's so hard to do.
Yep.
Like
I feel like it's going to have the same effect that it had when I bought my truck. It's going to have the same effect for you. Because when I bought my truck, I was like, okay, now I definitely need to work harder so I could pay for this. Obviously, it's a little bit different, but you're going to probably think the same thing where it's, okay, now I definitely need to work harder because if I don't, I'm going to have no money.
Right. Yeah, it's just going from for me, it's a little bit different because it's going from continual paycheck coming in to now I have to actually go out and make that shit happen, whatever way it is, but it's completely different.
Yep. It's going to be harder, but that first time where you're like, oh, dang, I just got $10,000 this month or whatever it is, you're going to be like, this shit is Shit is gas.
I don't know how I didn't do this earlier. I guarantee I'll come back to this and be like, you're so right. Why did it take you that long?
It'll be like, a year and a half, 2 years down the road, and you're going to be like, I should have quit way earlier. But it is that mental hurdle you got to get over.
Yeah. You got anything going on?
I mean, not a ton. I can probably just rip through mine and then just go through the rest of yours. But just been ripping up some edits lately. Just going hard on editing this last week. I had 2 shoots that were postponed to different dates, so it freed up 2 days to get some edits done. Finished that big documentary that I was working on, and they were happy with it. They said, this is great work. Just a couple revisions. They wanted one version with closed captioning on it because they're going to be playing it at an event where there's not going to be any audio. And then there were a couple lower third labels that were just the wrong titles for the people. But other than that, they didn't really have any revisions or anything, and really enjoyed it, which I was a little worried about because I sent it over the middle of October and I didn't hear anything, and it was due November 1st. So Halloween night, October 31st, I stayed up till like 2-3 in the morning finishing it, and then I sent it over to them and got there in the morning, November 1st, and they liked it. So
wait, you said you sent it to them mid-October and didn't hear anything back? And then
I sent it mid-October and said, hey, here's the second cut of the video or whatever, a couple changes. I said, here's the things we still have to do. We have to add, it wasn't color graded, so it's like we have to color grade it. There'll be some sound design. And then there's a couple pieces of footage that we still had to plug in there that we hadn't shot yet. And I said, let me know if there are any other revisions. And I didn't hear anything. And then I still didn't hear anything. So then it got to the night before it was due. And I said, well, I'm just finishing it how I think I should, and I'll send it to him in the morning. So
why'd you wait till the very last day to do that?
Well, I was working on it throughout, but the last day is kind of when I did all the color grading and sound design. So, which is, it could have been, but I wanted to wait to give them to the last day so they could give me any revisions, because it's hard to change up the whole video and then finish it. And I thought the color grading and sound design was going to be a lot quicker. I thought it'd take me an hour or two. And then I started doing it, and I realized it's a 35-minute video. And color grading all of that takes more time than I originally thought. And then sound design, going through and changing all the levels for all of the speakers. There was like 30 some people interviewed. So everyone has a different level. You have to put different effects because some people's voices sound different. Audio ducking the music, all of like the transition sound effects when it goes to the title cards. I was like, dang, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. So, but we got it done.
Were you doing so? Well, what direction do I want to go? Were you editing this in Final Cut?
Yes.
Is there not a ducking feature for music and whenever there's dialogue?
There is not like there is on Premiere. You can range select it and then just pull it down. It's kind of the same thing, but then you have to adjust the keyframes a little bit. But there's not like an audio ducking feature in Final Cut like there's in Premiere.
Yeah, Premiere has that. So the other question, just wanted to let you know
Premiere
that Premiere
sucks
is superior.
ass, dude.
Okay.
So slow.
And wasn't this a project that you really enjoyed doing, or at least the start of it? You sent me the PDF, the color design, the planning of it. Was this that project? Did you enjoy it as much as you thought you would?
Yeah, it was. No, this is a different one. So that was something I shot in Hebron, which was a couple weeks ago. I didn't edit that one, so I just shot that one.
Okay.
Which that one was fun too. And this one was not. It wasn't bad. Like I enjoyed this one too. It was just the schedule of events kept getting pushed back and back and back, so it was making it harder, and everything started to get a little crammed. That's the only part I didn't really enjoy. But projects like this are fun, where it's a way bigger project, and then at the end, the reveal feels a lot better.
It's a big video.
Yeah, 35 minutes.
It's like a short film.
Yeah, they were saying it was going to be 15 to 20. That's what they wanted, and then I put it together. I was like, I could cut this down to that short, but you're going to lose some answers. Some people are going to get cut out of the video. So they didn't mention anything about the time. So we rock and rolled with that time. And then I just got to cut out. There's like 6 different sections to the video. I got to cut out each section into its own video. But that's not due for a couple weeks. So we're good there.
Just knock it out. Get it done now. Don't procrastinate.
I got deadlines to hit before then. I got a bunch of deadlines on Monday. So editing all weekend.
All right.
Other than that, had a shoot this last week. It was a full shoot. I think we had 4 or 5 people on set. Just goes to just keeps showing me that the bigger shoots where I can bring more people on are just way better. They're way easier when I can just focus on the camera and how things look. Someone can focus on the audio. Brought an audio guy in from Bismarck. Someone can focus on the lighting to make sure the lighting looks good with my direction. Have a producer there that's making sure we're going over the schedule and the script. And it's just way better when you have more people on set. The client even mentioned, wow, you guys are really on top of things. So I was like, yep, we are. And that's why I brought him. So it was a good time doing that. And I just think I'm going to push more and more for the shoots to be bigger, get more people on set. That's
Are those more profitable as well?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, depends how I charge them, but usually. So usually, like if someone's, let's just use $500 for an even number. If it's $500 a day, I'll just charge a little bit more to bring them on. So it's like, okay, this person's going to cost me $750 to come when I only have to pay them $500. So then I get an extra $250 just for any risk that's involved. And then if you do that with 3, 4, 5 people that are coming on set, you're making a little bit of money. But yeah, I mean, even especially those bigger shoots, I charge a lot more anyways, just because it always takes more time than I thought. Writing the script, getting actors, getting locations, all of that takes a lot of work. So I make sure that I inflate the numbers just a little bit to cover that.
Yeah, I know typically with bigger projects, they typically are higher profit margins, and that's what clients like to aim for. So I was just seeing if that was the same for you, because you're hiring more people, so you got more people on set that you got to pay. So I wasn't sure about your expenses versus profit.
Yeah,
revenue.
and it's not crazy amount more, but a lot of times I'll charge, even for this project, I budget for a 12-hour day for someone to come, and then they're there they charge hourly, so they're there for 6 hours, and then they take an hour lunch break, and then travel from Bismarck. So it's a little bit less than I was budgeting for. And then I'm happy to pay it. They're happy. They get their full rate. And then there's even a little bit more margin left over there.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Aim for more bigger projects.
Exactly. That's what we're shooting for. So Tyler, what else you got? What else you got update wise?
Yeah. I got this guy in Arte. He reached out to me. I met up with him a long time ago. We went for coffee. I probably talked a little bit about him on the show a while back, but that was a long time ago. He reached out to me and was asking if I would do a photo shoot for him. He's trying to build out a personal website for his personal brand, so some lifestyle, some headshots, some different stuff like that. So I got a potential shoot with him. I sent off some dates and he didn't reply. He asked me if there was any good times that we could meet. And then I was on the bike at the time, so I took a little while to get back to him. And then I replied to him, gave him some dates. Haven't heard back. It's been a couple days. We'll see back, but he's a busy dude, so I'm not holding anything there. So we'll see how that goes.
That's one thing I realized with a lot of things when you send over that, like people aren't purposely ignoring you. A lot of times they do just get busy. And that's one thing I've learned over like last year. If you send follow-up emails, people are 90% of the time more than happy to get a follow-up email. They're not like, oh, he's bothering me. Or a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, shit, I totally forgot to do that. And it kind of just pushes you to get it done. So sorry for cutting you off, but.
No, it's all good. So yeah, we're waiting to see and hear back from him. I'll probably end up doing it. And then we'll see how that goes. And then another one from a referral, I guess you could say, that I did talk about on the podcast a while back again. This guy remember the guy that I did the social media stuff for? I didn't end up charging him or anything. I just laid it out. I said, here you go. This is a lot of stuff. And if you want to go with me, I'm happy to fly out and I'll help out, film it and all that shit. He ended up referring me to this guy that needs a new website, and he kept calling it webmaster. I'm like, what's going on here? And then he was emailing me and he was talking about HTML and all this shit, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be the right fit, because although I know the very basics of HTML, I don't know it enough and feel confident to build a website on that. What I typically do, I go through WordPress, I use Elementor, and then he said, okay, I'm not really tied on HTML and all this stuff. I'm fine with upgrading and being new with all this stuff, because he would like to go in and be able to update anything whenever he could. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you're good with going with Elementor or doing this path, I guess you could say, I could help you out there. His site might be down for a little bit while I try and create the new one.
Oh, you mess it up?
But yeah, while I mess it up. But yeah, so I'm going to be meeting with this guy on Tuesday, and that was a referral out of the guy that I didn't end up charging, but I tried to go above and beyond for him. So I guess that just goes to show what happens if you do try to go above and beyond for people, and they're going to remember you and they're going to potentially refer you.
Actually, yeah. So something I actually have on that as well, referrals, like pushing it down the road. That's awesome, because you never know what client is going to get you a different client. And I actually had something similar where we shot a project last Friday, and we were doing all this extra stuff. So what I was usually in the contract we shot, but all this extra stuff we were shooting, I was like, I'm not going to charge them for it. And then they, got an email and said, well, we want to pay you something for this. And I was just like putting it off. I was like, nope, I'm not charging you for any of it, with hopes down the road that, one, they keep working with me, so I keep having this retainer, or they want to do bigger projects down the road. There was one part we had to add an extra shoot day, which was not on the schedule, so I did charge for that. But all the extra video stuff that we shot and all the edits, I didn't charge for. And it almost feels like, not that they owe you something because you're doing it just because you're giving it to them. You don't want them to feel like they owe you something, but it is building that relationship for down the road for them to have that better partnership, that better trust, know that, we're not trying to price gouge them or take as much money as we can from them, where it does build that better relationship. Yeah.
Relationships are huge. We did an episode on that, and I don't know, did maybe you mentioned it, I just missed it, but did they refer someone?
No.
You never know what's going to happen, though. Like you're going to be going above and beyond, and they obviously have other friends that are potentially business owners, and they're more willing to refer you. They're like, oh, this guy does amazing work, and he helped us out, and that's just more likely for them to reach out to other people or whatever. Like, you're going to remain top of mind because you went above and beyond, and they never receive that type of feedback or that type of experience with a potential vendor or whatever it might be. So it's always good to go above and beyond.
Yeah, I try to make it almost like I'm a person that works there and I'm in-house and I'm just going above and beyond, like I'm an employee, where it's like, oh yeah, this employee, you got employee of the month because you went above and beyond. So I'm trying to do as much as I can for that. I was hooking her up with some thing. They're going to Vegas with the family trip, and I was like, oh, I'll get you like a bunch of stuff to do in Vegas. And I'm like, here's my Vegas guy. If you want to shoot him an email, he might be able to help you out with this, get you some free stuff. So it's just going above and beyond to build that relationship.
Awesome. And then the last thing for me is just Eddie continues to sell for me. He reached out to me, and then he goes, there's this guy in St. Louis and he's looking for a videographer. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, yeah, he basically wants, he didn't say it, but it's basically the D-Rock for this guy. And he's like, this guy, he'll pay you well, whatever it is. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can A, do it full time, and B, work in the States. So he was still setting me up, and then basically he sent me a text of what the guy said, and the guy's like, yeah, I would need him to be local, I'd need him to be full time, I would start him out at this salary. And I'm just like, sounds great and all, but I just can't do it.
Yeah. Was the salary good though?
$50K.
Yeah, I mean, good enough for a full-time job doing video.
Right. He's like, we'll start him off at $50K and we'll work it up from there if it goes well, or whatever he said. So yeah, Eddie just always selling for me.
Yeah. Hey, that's what you need though. You need those free salespeople.
Right. I don't know if he said anything about when you guys met up at Kegs and Eggs, but one thing that he always says is, he's the best. This guy's the best. This is the best. I have the best this. I have the best that. And then what I would tell him is, you got to stop saying that, because if you're saying the best for every single thing, it loses its credibility.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying this is the best, that's the best, this is the best, someone tries it, it's not the best, it starts to lose its flavor. And it's like, okay, if you're selective with it and you're more,
Yeah.
precise with it, where, okay, this is the best. And then it's like the other one where you say he's pretty good. I wouldn't say he's the best, but he's really good at what he does.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think you mentioned anything like that at Kegs and Eggs, which that was such a funny interaction. I can't believe I was like, what the hell? What's going on there? That was funny, but yeah, I agree with you there. You don't want to overuse, and then it just doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's pretty much all I got going on. It seems like a lot.
Okay. Kyler's got
almost at 1,000 subs.
There we go. Hopefully next
Follow
week
me on YouTube, bitches.
Yeah, subscribe. We don't follow her.
Oh, true.
Tyler's got one more update, but we're going to wait till the meat of the episode because that's what it's going to be about. So there's your little teaser. This week's news story, we're going to be talking about Elon Musk. He met with, gosh, I don't even know. I can't remember. I read it too. He met with the prime minister of
Minister of like UK, I think.
Yeah.
Rishi
And
Sunak.
yeah, met with the prime minister and talks about how AI is going to put an end to work. And Tyler and I just kind of want to go over that a little bit. Elon's always on this whole kick about future, and all of these predictions. The only issue I have with this is an end to work really a good thing, Because if robots are doing everything and AI is doing everything, God, I can't even imagine a world like that.
Yeah, it's tough because I think that's when socialism comes in, because I believe Elon's talked about this, where you would have to have that base salary or whatever it would be, where people get paid to do nothing, because you have to. How are you going to get money if you don't work, or you can't do anything, or you can't provide for society?
Yeah.
So, and it seems like, so one thing that it was mentioned in the article is there's going to be people that need to lead the charge on AI and be regulators of sorts. So that's one thing that Elon really talks about. And it seems like, because he's investing a lot in AI, I think he wants to be one of the guys that's leading the charge and in charge of regulating or whatever it is.
Yeah, I could see that. Seems like he would be someone that would want to do that kind of job. And I don't know if he's just positioning himself to do that. But yeah, it's interesting to see, because I don't know. It's just so hard to think about like where we wouldn't work because a robot can do the same thing as us.
We're kind of getting to that point, but everyone talks about it now, where you aren't going to lose your job to a robot. You're going to lose your job to someone that can use AI better than you. And that's what you hear a lot. But the way Elon talks about it and the way he's building it, it's going to get to the point where it seems like there's going to be a robot that can do everything. And because I think he's working on building like AI robots, like humanoid robots that can work in his factory and do all the jobs. And even when I worked in the factory, there was a bunch of robots that would do the work and do all the heavy lifting. Like, it wasn't like an actual robot. It was like an arm or something.
Yeah.
It would like pick it up and flip it or something like that. So it wasn't like an actual human type of robot. So it's just kind of crazy. Like AI, there's an episode that Hormozy did on AI, and it's pretty crazy to think about, because with this video type of stuff and the photo where it can generate all this stuff, where he talks about if like an extraterrestrial was like way out in space and they wanted to come and visit Earth and like spy on us, they would send a robot instead, and then they would be able to take form, because they can, artificially create a facade of what we look like.
Yeah, I don't know. That's so futuristic. It's hard to even think about. I want to go back to what you mentioned about people that can work with AI will be the ones taking jobs, because I think that's where we're at now, where right now AI is supplementing the work that we're already doing. I promise you, sure, I am probably in the top 0.001% of people in Minot, North Dakota that is using Chat GPT to the fullest extent. I use that shit for everything. And I think the people that aren't using it are falling behind. Like, it is literally like the new Google, man. I don't have to research anything ever. Right. I just use that.
but at the same time, a lot of some of the information that it gives back is wrong.
Yes, but the stuff that I'm researching, it's not like stuff where it's like, oh, does this need to be fact checked? It's like,
Okay.
Make this sound better, right? Like, it's like, hey, here's my idea of what I want this to look like. Like when I'm script writing, it's like,
Right.
hey, I'm writing this script. Here's the voiceover. I wrote it like this. I know it sounds okay. It could sound better though. So then you plug it in and they rewrite it so it sounds a hell of a lot better, like an actual professional writer would write it. So that's where I'm excited about it. You still have to give it the groundwork and you have to frame it so it gives you the stuff that you want. So I think prompting ChatGPT in these AI programs is going to become a skill, because when I first started using it and I said, hey, I need a 30-second script for a college promo video, it would pop something out, but it has no information. Whereas now when I use it, I say, hey, I have a 30-second script on the athletic program at a college. I need a voiceover. Ask me some questions to give you a better idea of what the script needs to be like. And then it asked me 13 questions, and I just one by one answer the questions. What's the tone? What's the length? What are some buzzwords that you need? What are some key phrases? What is the target audience? What's the demo? What are the locations you're shooting in? So you answer all these questions for it, and then it gives you a script, and it's like, God damn, this is damn near perfect. Mm-hmm. And then you just have to make a couple tweaks here and there. So I think, right now is an awesome spot where it's like, hey, AI and normal work is being supplemented so well. And it can even maybe go a little bit further, like even Photoshop, when you're doing generative fill. I had a shitty looking interview set and I was like, how do I make this look a little bit better, where I can take that still frame, put some stuff in the corner, put something on a desk, put a painting on the wall, whatever it might be. Whereas using that with the work I'm doing now is awesome. But in the future, if it gets to the point where it's like, well, you don't have to write the script and you don't have to shoot the video and you don't have to edit the video and you don't even have to talk to the client because AI can do it all. It's like, well, what the fuck's going on here? So one quote I always like to say is, we got so busy trying to figure out if we can that we didn't ask ourselves if we should. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, can we build a robot that can, fight wars? Yeah, we can. We just figured it out. It's like, okay, but should we be doing that right now? So that's where I'm at. But a lot of talking there.
Yeah. I know Elon talks a lot about Larry Page, I believe, because he used to live at his house, and the way that Larry Page used to talk about Google AI, it just seemed that he made it seem like AI was a life form, and us not bringing it to life was a disservice, and that he wants AI to kind of be the future. And that's somewhat what it seems like. I don't know. I don't think I've actually heard it directly from Elon. I've just heard it from other people talking about what Elon says about it, and was what he says Larry Page would say back in the day. So yeah, it's just in the wrong hands, it can go really bad.
Yeah, anything like that, I think, though. If you get in the wrong hands of anybody, world takeover.
For sure.
I still don't get the AI thing, man. How the hell does that even work? How do you train a computer? I don't know. That shit's so over my head. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. You got anything else on the AI takeover that we're going to be seeing in the next year?
One of the quotes that he said in there, it's both good and bad. One of the challenges in the future will be, how do we find meaning in life? Because if we don't have to work, or if we don't have to do anything, what's the point?
Yeah.
There's no purpose.
I couldn't do a life where I don't work. And I know a lot of people that hate their job and they go to 9 to 5 and they are excited for the weekends. Probably like, oh, I'd love not to work. But I don't think those people realize how bored you would get, like not doing anything.
Maybe those people are just gaming day and night, and then they just get to game day and night.
Yeah, maybe, I guess.
The only issue with it is it's going to be a socialism type of economy, and you're going to be getting a fixed amount every single month. And if you're only getting $500 a month, what are you going to do with it? You can't do too much, because some people might say, oh, I'd love to not work. I'd get to travel the world. It's like, would you really? You're going to get the same amount of money every single other person's going to get. How are you going to be able to spend that and travel and do whatever the fuck you want? So
yeah, I think it's the pursuit of being able to do whatever. Like that's why I work. It's like I want to see how big I can do this so then I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? It's funny because I use this example is next week. So next Thursday, I'm going to Vegas for my girlfriend's birthday, which is the fourth time in 1 year.
Might as well just
see. That's the reaction. This is where I'm going. This is the reaction I'm getting from people where a lot of people, like family members, especially like, oh, I wish I could go to Vegas 4 times in 1 year. Or, oh, I wish, you know,
I'm just saying you're taking too many vacations.
It's only for a weekend, you know, it's Friday to Sunday. So, I mean, it's just like
That's
anything.
3 days I get ahead of you.
Nah, that's right. But
plus 6 because you got to recover.
Yeah, that's probably actually maybe true. But these people are like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish, you know, I could this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, you can. You don't.
I say that too.
Yeah. So it's like you could do this, but you just decided not to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
go ahead. I got someone saying, I'm not going to name any names, but my dad said that he wasn't able to come to the Edmonton Marathon. I was like, why can't you come? He's like, because I have to work. I'm like, I mean, you can come. You can take the time off. You're choosing not to.
Yeah.
So I say that all the time too.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's my girlfriend's birthday and she's like, I really want to go on a trip somewhere. And I'm like, well, that's awesome because I can, because I have the option to, and I will.
Why go Vegas? You already went there like so many times. Go to like
This is not
Mexico.
my choice. This is on the record that I make her tell everybody we talk to that this is her choice because her favorite stand-up comedian is there. And she's like, and it's super easy. We know what we can do.
Jim Jeffries.
Nope. Nate Bargatze.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. Clean comic. He just hosted Saturday Night Live last week. It's actually really good.
But yeah. Oh, Anthony? Was it?
Anthony Jeselnik?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's funny.
Complete opposite of what you were just describing.
Yeah. He is not clean at all. But yeah, this is on record that this is her idea. And I make sure people say it because I'm like, I'm not taking the fall for this. I said we don't have to go there. We could go somewhere else if you want to go to Florida or whatever, Arizona, Miami. But she's like, no, let's just go there. I'm like, okay, well, I'm telling everybody that you said this and it's your idea. So
there you go.
All right, Tyler, you got anything else?
Nah, let's jump in.
All right. So we kind of alluded to it earlier. We threw you a little
dumpster fire.
Yeah, this dumpster fire. We gave you a little Easter egg when we said mess ups earlier. This week, we're going to be talking about client fuck ups and how Tyler had his first big one, fun one. And Tyler, give us a little bit of a backstory on why this episode is happening.
So I was dealing with my client and her current web hosting company was leaving. They weren't doing that specific service anymore. She asked if I knew anyone. I gave her an option. I said I would do it if she wanted me to. And she said, if you feel confident doing it, sure, we'll go with you. So I started playing around and we were working on migrating her website so I could host it. And I was playing around in the back end. There was a plugin. It said, make sure you back up this file because there's other plugins that it might not be compatible with. And I backed it up and I was trying to migrate the site. And I was talking to one of the help support people there and they said this plugin is having an issue. It might be causing it to stop. So I tried to update it. And what ended up happening was logging me out of her website and crashing her entire site, which sucked. When I did it, it was
fight or flight,
right?
Flight immediately.
Man, it was probably about 7:30 in the morning. So it was probably before she was really up and really anyone was online trying to browse any of her services. And what happened? I went to her website and it just says critical error. This site can't be loaded or something like that. And everyone got that message. It wasn't just me on the back end. And I couldn't get on the back end because there was an email that got sent to the admin and the admin was their previous hosting company. So I emailed that guy. I said, yo, I fucked up. There should be an email that's sent to you guys, the admin email. All you got to do is go into the back end, disable this plugin, and it should be good. So basically at this point, I was looking up every single option. I was contacting you. I was contacting another buddy. I contacted someone from Arte and I was like, is there anything I can do? I was looking up YouTube videos. I was looking up blogs. I was looking up everything because I felt so bad. My heart just dropped.
Just to give you
Her
guys a
website
little bit of information, when Tyler says contact me, I just got a text that says, I fucked up. So I was laughing pretty hard. That was, I don't even know. What was it? 7:40 in the morning or something like that. And
It was early.
Yeah.
It was
just
early.
a text that says I fucked up. Well, I suppose no, it's probably really early because it was your 7:30
Yeah.
and it was my
and then
5:30. So yeah,
6:30.
or 6:30. Yeah. So I fucked up and I text back. I was like, what'd you do? And just immediately I broke my client's website and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. So I emailed the guy. I said, hey, please disable this or just deactivate this plugin. And I went through everything. And basically what I found out is I can't do anything at this point because I need the admin email. So everything rests on their current hosting company getting back to us, disabling this plugin. I can't do anything. And I felt so hopeless the entire time. And I was looking up everything to try and figure it out. I downloaded two different, I don't know what it is.
Programs.
Softwares. Yeah, to try and be able to get into the back end and disable the plugin. And wasn't able to, unfortunately. And so it just sucked because I was helpless. I ended up emailing the client. I said, hey, I screwed up. And I didn't hear anything back from her either until basically the end of the day. She emailed me. She said, if there's anything I can do, just let me know. She emailed again about an hour later and included her current hosting company. And she said, hey, I got clients emailing me. They're trying to place some orders and they can't because the website's down. I'm like, fuck. and and I just felt, I was so hopeless. And like the stupid hosting company, like they probably fixed this issue within 2 minutes. And that's the worst part about it. This issue took about 2 minutes to fix it. If I had access to the back end or the admin email, whatever it was, I would have been able to go in and fix this before anyone even noticed that the website was down. That was the worst part about it. It took probably 2 minutes for them to fix it. And then they didn't respond for over 24 hours. So that was the worst part. I slept like shit that night. The entire day, I didn't feel like doing a single thing.
Did you call them?
No, I didn't. So I think I don't know. I was talking to the other buddy. I was like, should I fill out a contact form and be like, yo, you guys got one of your clients, their website's down. I fucked up. Can you help me out? So I ended up filling that out the next day because he didn't respond in over 24 hours. Like, come on, man. Like, you're avoiding it. Like, so that was kind of annoying. And he responded maybe about 27 hours later. And the worst part was I texted you that and I was like, man, there's nothing I can do. And that's all I was thinking about. And you said, there's nothing you can do. Just move on and wait till it's fixed or whatever. And I tried to do that. I did it a little bit here and there, but that's basically all I thought about for that next 24 hours. I'm pretty sure I slept like shit that night too. And I woke up the next morning to check their website. I was like, is it up yet? And it's like, nope. Yeah. So that sucked.
And the conversation we had, which I think is a good takeaway for our listeners, is it's not that you shouldn't worry about it. Like, it happened. It's not like I was like, don't worry about it, Tyler, to get fixed. It's more so, hey, it's done. What's done is done. Now you need to figure out what the next option is to get it to be undone. So like you said, you were doing a lot of researching, trying to download plugins, softwares to try to fix it, emailing the guy, figuring out contact forms. The one option I would have maybe explored is just calling the hosting company and say, hey, I emailed you and you didn't answer. Can we get this fixed right away? That's just maybe the one oversight I see there. But yeah, if you take these things that happen, sometimes they're really shitty. This has happened to me before where I shoot a video project and maybe I forget to dump the footage, or maybe I shot it and it sounds like shit. Maybe the audio's horrible or whatever it might be. When I do these things, you realize, okay, this sucks. It happened, but now we need to figure out what's the next move. Is the next move that, hey, I need to go reshoot this footage? Or is the move, hey, I lost this footage. It's not on my hard drive anywhere. So you need to send an email and let the client know maybe we need to reshoot it. Whatever happens, the shitty thing happened. And after that, you need to figure out, put it behind you. What are the next best steps that we need to take to resolve this issue? So it doesn't help you at all to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. This literally happened to me last week. We were on a shoot and I had the script in front of me that we're going to be shooting. And there were 3 different scenes. The first scene was at a nice house. The second scene was at a house that was being remodeled, and the third scene was in an office. And that was the order of events that the video was going to be edited to, but we weren't shooting the scenes in that order. We shot the remodeling, which was last, first, and then we shot the office second, which was second, and the home last. So it was kind of flip-flopped. And I take full blame for this because obviously it's my project, it's my client. At the end of the day, it all rests on me. I do want to say I did have a producer on set that hopefully I was hoping would be there to catch things like this that are happening. Didn't get caught. At the end of the day, again, it's my fault. But I mean, that's why you hire a producer, to make sure we're on top of those things. But we shot the scene that was supposed to be last, and we read the script from the first scene. So everything looked good, but he read the wrong lines. So it doesn't cut together in the video. And I figured that out at the last scene when we were shooting at the house. And I told the client, I said, hey, I messed up here. I didn't even catch this. We read the wrong voiceover, or we read the wrong on-screen talking ped talent, whatever you want to call it, for the wrong scene. So it's not going to add up. I said, immediately I just went into, here are our options. One, we just recorded a voiceover while you were driving over here. We recorded a voiceover, and instead of having the talent on screen, we can put the voiceover on there and then use the B-roll footage that was shot there. I said, if that doesn't work, which I totally understand because it's not the scope of the ad that we promised to deliver you, I said, we will reshoot it whenever at your earliest convenience, or whenever works for you, for no extra charge, no extra cost. And she said, oh, I'm not that anal about it. So just, if the voiceover works, just do the voiceover. I'm like, okay, we'll put that together. But if we end up seeing the video and you want it changed, we'll 100% honor that. Like, we'll still reshoot it. So I felt like shit, and I'm like, I fucked up, but I'm like, what do I do to fix this? So I immediately was like, hey, here's what happened. Here's what we're going to do. So it's really just putting that behind you and moving on, taking the next step to figuring out the issue.
Are you going to try and add in extra stuff and over deliver on this project because of that, or?
Yeah, I was anyways. So we already had some extra stuff planned to give them some more stuff. So that helps. That'll be there for them to be like, oh, nice, we got this. But yeah, it does suck because I mean, I thought the ad was really good. Like, it's someone talking on camera, and then it cuts, and it's like a snap cut. So like it cuts to him and how he's in a different location, but the same place in the frame. So then it's kind of like going through all the locations. So it won't be a huge deal. It'll just look a little bit different, maybe a little bit less flashy, but the information will still get across fine.
Yeah. So there's a few points that I want to touch on when this happened to me. So this was one of the lowest points I've really had, I guess you could say, in my business journey. So I decided to journal on it. And this is one thing that I heard from Ed Milet, is journaling whenever you feel really happy or really something happens to you, just so you can write down what those emotions, like what's going on, and just so you can remember that. So I decided to journal a little bit just so I can, remember it and just describe what's happening. And you really got to experience those lows to be able to experience those highs. And that was one thing that I wrote down in there. And I think that's one thing that I might not experience as much. And one thing that I think I was really happy that did happen with me, because the next day, once we did get the website back up and running, we actually ended up finalizing the migration process, and I went through it all by myself, and I learned a whole bunch of different stuff, which I'll touch on after this. And once I ended up getting that high point and finished the migration process, I felt extremely accomplished because I went through the whole process, learned something new. And that's another thing that ended up happening throughout this whole process. I had to go and learn a whole bunch of new stuff that I never really learned before. And now I know how to do all this stuff. If I ever fuck up again, I went through all this process and I learned a whole bunch of new stuff. So I think all these low points, it helps you reach new high points. So you aren't going to, it's not just straight up. You're going to be going down and up and down and up. And that just added more stuff into my bank of my skills and experience and stuff that I've gone through. So that was just a really good high point that ended up happening. And after that high point, I ended up journaling the high point as well. So it was pretty good, both ends of it.
I like the thought process of you God, where was it? Oh, yes. Learning from the experience, because when I was in Canada,
100%.
my billet dad, he had a similar process, because I was thinking to myself, man, do I want to go to college? And I was having this conversation with them, and he was saying, yeah, you should go to college. He didn't go to college. And he goes, I wish I would have went to college. And I was like, why? You're making like a bunch of money. You're a big farm realtor here in Canada. You started this website where all the farms are hosted on Canada. I was like, why do you wish you would have went? And he's like, well, I made one mistake early in my career that cost me $60,000. And he said that that mistake he would have learned in school or whatever he was saying, but he could have paid that money to go to school instead of learning, or instead of losing that $60,000 on that job. And I never really understood or knew how that sit with me very well, because you lost the potential of $60,000, I think. Whereas if you use this example in your case, maybe you really broke the site, you messed up everything, and you got fired, whatever it might be. You lost $500 a month, or $1,000 a month, or $1,500 a month, whatever you're being paid. So that client you lose for that lesson. But are you really going to learn that in school? Are you really going to learn that skill of like, oh, when I migrate a site, I need to deactivate this plugin? Probably not. Where some things you just need to learn through experience and actually going through it.
Yeah. And going off of the topic of these expenses that you go through, like those are learning lessons. So even though he might have lost $60,000, it's an expensive lesson, but it's in the lesson, nonetheless, and you're most likely not going to make that same mistake again. So
yeah,
although it can be expensive at times where with certain mistakes, failures, whatever it might be, those are just lessons in the journey. And then you're not going to be able to, or you shouldn't be making that same mistake again. You're going to be able to share that experience, share that knowledge with someone else, and then they won't make that same mistake. So I think it's just a different form of paying for education.
Yeah, for sure. And now that I know we were going to do a specific episode on this, but maybe now this is the time where we can plug it in. We don't have to do a full episode on it, but I had to learn one of these lessons myself. I lost one client that was like $55,000 a year. And yeah, that's a lot of money. And I lost that client, but I learned the lesson of why I lost that client. So now for all of the future projects that I do, implementing contracts, the way the contracts are structured, things I had to add to the contract. So we're on the same terms. The client experience has changed where we talk about these things a lot more in depth than I used to. So yeah, it might have cost me a lot of money, but am I really going to learn that information if I would have went to film school or business school? Maybe. But you still have to go through it experience wise, because what you learn in a business textbook about creating a contract doesn't necessarily 100% one-to-one translate to this specific contract for this client. So I think those are things that in your head you think, well, go to school so then you can avoid making any mistakes. You're going to make mistakes whether you go to school or you don't.
I feel like if you're in an entrepreneurship-based program or school degree, whatever it is, if you're taking like entrepreneurship, I feel like one of the classes or just the whole program itself should be starting a business.
That's actually, yeah. Did you go entrepreneurship or no?
Yeah, you make like pretend businesses, but I think that you should actually make like real businesses. And then it's like maybe throughout that 4 years, you have like the same, maybe you have like 5 different teachers or 4 different teachers, whatever it might be. And you just connect with them. They can help you connect. They help teach you and guide you along the way. And they basically act as mentors. They do the first step in the process. Okay, what kind of business are you starting? Okay, I think the best thing for that would be setting up an LLC. Let's go set up an LLC. Okay, now we got the LLC set up. Let's set up a bank account. Okay, now that we got a bank account set up, let's set up a payment processor. Okay, now that we got a payment processor, what's the next step? Website, clients. And then they just help you throughout the whole process. I think that would be so much more valuable than making up all these PowerPoint presentations on this stupid company that,
I think that, that's a really good idea, actually. Because, well, I didn't go to business school, so I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't sound like that's the way it is. But even if it's a 4-year school, maybe the 3rd year or the 4th year or whatever, that's like that whole year is just you starting a business. Like, and it's a real business, and you have your professors to lean on. And it's like, hey, you can go to them and say, hey, I don't know how to get clients. And then you go talk and they teach you the sales process and all that. And you have to, for your grade, show that you're doing this stuff. Like, okay, by whatever it is, August 38th, August 28th, you need to show that you have started an LLC. Like, that's your homework. Turn that in. Did you start an LLC? Awesome. Okay. Now by September 15th, you need to show your website's done or whatever it might be. So you actually force these people to create a business, and it has to be a real business, and you have to be in the community that you're in. And then you're just running a business, because I feel like if you're creating a business, that's your goal. If you get an entrepreneurship degree after, is to start a business, right?
100%.
So why aren't the colleges not just starting one for them while they're in school,
right,
and then saying, go crazy?
Yeah. And then you could even have like maybe a lawyer's where they can come up with any contracts. Maybe you have someone else in your class and they like, you guys partner and you guys form a partnership, and then you go to the law teacher, contract law. They come up with a contract for you guys 50-50, and then you're all set. You don't got to go out, have this lawyer, pay these lawyering fees.
I think it's a great start to
finance.
Yeah, it's a great start to your network as well. You know, if you graduate with the class of 2028 and it's like, okay, I just graduated with all my entrepreneurship friends. So-and-so just started a law business. So-and-so just started a, accounting firm, whatever it might be. Then you go out into the real world and you have these people and you're growing together, where it's like, I just started a video business. Jimbo just started an accounting firm. Well, let's do it. I'll be your first client, do my accounting. I'll do some video work for you. And then you come together and you graduate with this network already mined. Because that's one of the hardest things when you're starting a business, especially me not going to college. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know how to get clients. I didn't know how to partner with people, nothing. Where if you had that step ahead for college, I think we're onto something here, Tyler. If you had that step ahead.
Is this the business idea for this episode?
Yeah, I'm going to call freaking Minot State and be like, what are you guys doing, man?
We got some changes to make.
Yeah, I'm like, me and Tyler just workshopped it. It's not that hard.
Right? Really not.
Yeah. Maybe schools are doing that, I guess. But imagine every entrepreneurship person that
maybe
graduates,
like good schools.
they have a business. Yeah. Like Harvard Business.
Shade. Yeah.
I can't imagine they're doing it, though.
Maybe not.
Interesting. Cool. All right, Tyler, you got anything else on? I think we gave a lot of good information about what happens when you just absolutely butcher a client project.
Yeah, the last thing was basically the entire time I was just thinking, this sucks. I want to quit. I want to go the easy route. This would be so much easier if I just had a regular job. I didn't have all this pressure on me. I didn't need to do this. I didn't have to worry about something failing. But then a quote that was popping in my head from Hermosi is, this is where most people stop and this is why they don't win. And I was just like, I just got to get through this. I can't quit. This is part of the process. I got to keep going.
Yeah. And that's 100% right. Most people would quit. And I think we even had a conversation about it. I think we even had a conversation about it. You were saying, it just makes me want to quit. And I literally said, did you think it was going to be all sunshine and rainbows?
Yes, I did.
And that's where people don't realize it's a lot harder than you think. It's not going to be perfect. And, even when you're starting a business, you're like, I'm going to have this great offering or this great product. People don't know that. They don't know if it works. They don't trust you. And business doesn't go as smoothly as everyone thinks it does. And Tyler had to learn that this last week, that it's going to suck balls. I think one of the text messages I sent you was, welcome to business, my dude, or something like that. So I really just let you know, like, hey, this is how it's going to be. And the nice part about it is that kind of stuff happens a lot more in the beginning than it does now. Because now that I've went through all of that and I figure out what I need to change, what I need to do, contract wise, client wise, skill wise, for if I'm trying to figure out how to edit video, well, now I know how to edit it better. The more you do it, the more experience you have, the less those issues arise. But that first phase, it's the hardest to get past that first phase of when shit's failing left and right.
And we're slowly moving past it, but
yes,
one step at a time.
I promise you that you will not make that mistake again.
Probably not.
Yep, exactly. And it just took one 27-hour panic attack and you were good.
It's only 27 hours.
Yeah. If you could just do a 27-hour panic attack for every lesson you learn in business, you'd be golden.
Right.
All right. Let's hop into this week's business idea. Tyler's this week. on the docket, what do we got?
Nothing too crazy. This is just something that always comes up for me whenever I'm making a coffee in my Keurig. It splashes everywhere and I don't like that. And there's just coffee everywhere. So what I ended up doing is just getting a paper towel and wrapping it around so there's no splash everywhere. So if there was like something built in, or maybe there's like an attachment that just kind of funnels down to the coffee cup, so it prevents any of the splashage.
You're having splashing issues with your Keurig?
Do you not?
Like
when it goes in and it splashes out,
it hits the cup. Are you using like a mug?
Yeah.
I guess I use like a not a tumbler cup, but like a coffee cup with a screw-on lid.
Well, I mean, so when you have your Keurig, is it like all the way up to the top, or is there like a gap there? Because like when I'm using a mug, there's like a good gap there, and then like that creates all this splash out of it. Whereas if I'm say using one of my, the Hydro Flask things, that goes all the way up to the top, so there's no issue with that. But whenever I'm using a mug, there's about 4 inches of separation, and it causes a lot of splash, and there's a bunch of coffee splashing everywhere. So I got to wrap it around with a paper towel. So if there was an attachment or something that just popped down and it would just go straight into, maybe it's just like, nah, I don't know.
I see your blocker, and I'll raise you one better. How about something you can stick on the bottom where it's just, maybe you get a set of 3. Yeah, a set of 3, depending on how tall your cup is, where it fits in an attachment. Yeah. You just crank that cup up. That's interesting. I've never had that issue, but that's probably because 1, I use cups that go all the way to the top, or 2, I use like a plastic cup and then pour it into my, like my things that don't fit in there. But I'll have to next time I use a mug, because sometimes when people are over and they want a coffee, I use a mug for them. I'll have to see if it's given some splash issues there.
Yeah, so I always have to wrap a paper towel around it. So if there was just something that, I like the crank idea where you could just maybe, because there is that little piece that sticks out, that the pad or whatever it's called. If there's like notches where you could just like raise and lower it so it doesn't, and then you could just put it directly under it. I think that wouldn't be too bad.
Or even like a motorized button where you just hold it and it raises up to the kind of like. Have you ever got a for real?
No, never heard of that.
So you go to a gas station and you stick the frozen ice cream in the thing, and then it raises up and swirls the shit out of it, and then it lowers back down, and you take it out, something like that, where it just raises up close to the Keurig top, fills it, and then lowers it for you.
Yeah.
I think the bottom, whether it's a manual riser or a clicker or whatever it is better than the blocker.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
We workshopped it. We'll call Minot State. We'll call Keurig.
Two business ideas this week.
We're flying. Tyler, you got anything else?
Don't fuck up. No, I'm just kidding. They happen, but they're expensive, and they can be expensive.
Be okay with fuck ups. That's a better.
Quit.
Yeah. They're going to happen. You just have to prepare yourself for that. Like Tyler, like I told him, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. That's what Rocky said, I think, or someone on Rocky.
Something like that.
I think it's Rocky. All right. That's episode 61 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover or answer, email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. And if you found value in this content or found this entertaining, share this with a friend or post it on your story. And if you really enjoyed the show, we'd love a rating and a review wherever you are listening. Talk to you guys next week for another episode of The Midnight Entrepreneur.
The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Walt Disney.